Welcome to CiNEMACHiNE. I'm Al, and I'm here with Ryan.
What's up?
And Brandon.
Hello.
And we're here to review The Gentleman by your request.
That's right.
So, fellas.
You spoke. We listened.
We were forced to listen. So,
I like
gentlemen.
this movie.
Oh, well, that's it, everybody.
All right. Well, see you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for participating, everybody.
Well, we gathered that you liked it because you chose. It was your choice last week. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of this episode so you can make a choice, see what the choices are for next week. But right now we're going to just kind of do a little housekeeping. We're going to talk about where you can find us and how you go about voting. So, Ryan, do you want to kind of let them in on how they go about voting?
Yeah. So, and you guys are doing a great job with it so far.
Keep it up, guys.
Commenting in the YouTube comments, just let us know your selection. You can also vote on Instagram. We put up a story and then a post where you can comment with your selection, and we just take the aggregate of everything and put a final tally together, and then that's that.
Yeah. So we also like for you to leave comments, be snippy, tell us if you disagree or agree. We just like having conversations. As Ryan was saying, it's
if you think
what
Al's
the
a
show is all
moron
about.
like most people do, then
Yeah,
tell us about it. Let's talk about Al.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so get snippy with us, whatever. We just like to talk about movies. That's what movies are supposed to do, create conversations. So,
and that's our handle is at CiNEMACHiNE on social.
There we go. So, tonight, gentlemen, we are going to talk about a movie.
Good one. That was a good one.
Cat out of the bag. That had a box office of $115 million off of a budget of $22 million. And that is U.S. money, even though we're going to watch a British movie. We have the synopsis of this movie is Mickey Pearson is an American expatriate.
Expat, baby.
Okay.
Expatriate.
Yeah. Who became rich by building a highly profitable I don't know if you can say that on
marijuana.
Yeah, we might get tagged for that. Empire in London. When word gets out that he's looking to cash out of the business, it soon triggers an array of plots and schemes, including bribery and blackmail, from shady characters who want to steal his domain and many other things. So
And
this movie is made by Guy Ritchie. Want to make sure we put that out there.
If you watch the last episode, Brandon doesn't do well with British accents, so this one's
he's a little lost on this.
I would also like to add to that I have never truly been able to follow a Guy Ritchie movie just because of the language barrier there. We speak the same language, oddly enough.
The funny thing is that many people in the world would say the Southern accent is the hardest one to understand.
Yeah.
And it is the reciprocal. So, so this movie had a pretty heavy cast.
Oh, yeah.
We had Matthew McConaughey as the head in this movie. And he was surrounded by a couple of the favorites of old Guy Ritchie there. And this is, like Ryan was saying 2 episodes ago last week, that this is back to form for him. So he got away and he did Aladdin, and he's done a couple other things here and there.
King Arthur
was a bomb. Yeah. I don't know what was worse, him marrying Madonna or that. So you take your pick. But yeah, this movie, The Gentleman, had quite the cast. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our initial thoughts of The Gentleman. Brandon, what was your initial takeaway from The Gentleman?
Well, I saw it. This was I guess the last movie I saw in theaters, which I think we may. I know Ryan. Did you say that was your last theatrical viewing? Was it yours, Al? I can't remember. Well, I mean, before you saw like these recent viewings.
My last movie I saw in the theater before we went on lockdown was Parasite in Colorado.
Gotcha. But yeah. I saw it had been out in theaters for at least a month by the time I saw it. I think I saw it in like February or March. But no, I liked it. I love a good caper type movie, and Guy Ritchie is kind of known for that, really.
Believe it or not, they had subtitles at his theater, so everything was cool. He enjoyed the experience.
They didn't. But you know, McConaughey.
Really don't know how I feel about this movie.
That McConaughey feller, I understand him pretty good.
Yeah, so he speaks your language for real.
He was the one I identified with.
Bring it back home, baby.
But no, I enjoyed it. Lots of colorful characters, and I mean we can get into specifics later. But I thought it was kind of like Ryan was saying. It really was a return to form for him. I mean, I didn't see King Arthur, but I did see Aladdin, and that was just such a kind of a nothing movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. Just based on your reaction to it,
it had really zero of Guy Ritchie in it, in my opinion, and the
100% of Will Smith it had in it made me not see it. So there you go.
Okay, and.
Gross.
Yeah, so I don't really have much to say other than I enjoyed it, and we'll get into details as to why in a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan, I think you've told us your initial thoughts a couple times already, but go ahead.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Okay.
I think I've made that very clear. I like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it pretty much right after it came out in theaters. I loved I only saw the first trailer. I just intentionally avoided everything else after that, like we kind of talked about, because I was just they had me at the first trailer. I was bought in. And I thought that the cast in this movie, the movie is very like fast paced and chippy. The dialogue is real chippy. Which I enjoyed. I thought that the cast around Matthew McConaughey was great. I'm a huge Succession fan on HBO. So I was excited to see Jeremy Strong in a feature. I thought he did great. Colin Farrell is hilarious in this movie. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this one. And
right,
that's
awesome.
why I bought it.
That's why you bought it. So, thanks for tuning in to CiNEMACHiNE, everybody. I thought this movie was pretty good. It was a return to form for Guy Ritchie. I appreciate Guy Ritchie's earlier stuff more. I think I'm pretty sure, but I also
older.
haven't. No, because it's just what I prefer. It's just better version. So
older is better. Older, better. The end.
We love you, Al. Keep going. What were you saying?
So yeah, no, I appreciated this, but I will say this movie felt a little dated to me. It just like it because of the speed ramping and things like that he does, and that's his style. It just kind of felt like, it just felt like I was back in those times, and it just kind of, and so many people aped off of Guy Ritchie's style, like whether it be a commercial or TV show or whatever, so many people ripped him off, and so that style was kind of done to death by other people not as well. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of, that's why it felt dated, but that didn't make it a bad movie. It just kind of felt like it was a movie from 10, 12 years ago. So
Sure.
I was glad to see that Guy Ritchie had such a good cast, and I will say that Colin Farrell pretty much stole this movie for me. It was fun. It was fun to see Hugh Grant in a totally different type of role than he's ever been in.
For sure.
Because he's usually the romantic comedy lead, the bumbling guy that kind of almost like the
Slimy
British
snake reporter.
Yeah, he's like the British Woody Allen to a certain extent,
Kinda,
you know.
yeah.
So anyway, but let's talk about the cast for a minute. Matthew McConaughey, I appreciate him and everything, but it took about 2/3 of this movie for me to buy him as a hardcore tough guy because of my impression I have of him in my head. So did you guys have that same hurdle or no?
I did not. From the get-go in this movie, I enjoyed his performance. And I
Let's
love
say we're just going to go ahead and be spoilers all the way through this. We're not going to worry about... Yeah.
I also enjoyed the way that he told the story, like, because Hugh Grant at times is narrating this story, and he like exaggerates elements of the story which they show visually, but that's not actually what really happened. So I thought that was kind of a cool dynamic to show, especially with like Matthew McConaughey, where he doesn't really have a lot of moments in the movie where he can lose his temper, so they use those fake
We call it unreliable narration in the biz.
there you go. Movie podcast. Brandon gets it.
Yeah, Brandon is.
But it was a great tool for character building to kind of like build a little bit more of like a threatening persona around him when the actual storyline didn't necessarily lead him down that path a lot of times. Brandon, what'd you think of Matthew?
I like Matthew.
Your boy.
Like Matthew.
We talk the same.
He is.
He
is good.
Yeah, he's somebody that I'd like to hang out with. You know, be fun.
Play
Livin.
I thought it was a cool way to. I know that you were asking if we found that he was like menacing, you know, from the jump, but I thought it was a cool way to start off the movie with the whole like him being in the bar and then the little like, you know, which they pay off towards the end, but thinking that he gets kind of offed in the very beginning of the movie, and you're just like waiting for that to pay off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a cool visual, like the whole like with the blood and the beer, I think it was.
Yeah.
And
so I will say this also, similar to Brandon. It took me about a month and a half to see this movie before I went. And the only reason I saw it is because I was going to a movie with a buddy of mine, Paul, and it was one of those things like we just wanted. It was kind of like raining outside or something, so we're like, let's go see a movie, and we went and saw this because it was the only thing that both of us could agree on that wanted to see. So that's really the only reason I went and saw it. Kind of like when I went to go see Kingsman, the original one of those, and I went and saw that, and that movie surprised me, and it like caught me off guard. I remember even telling people like, wow, this movie's way better than the trailer gives it credit for being. So I think that this movie is better than the trailer offered up, and I whenever I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it should have been like a straight to Netflix type of thing. But
I think that kind of is a good thing to point out because the trailers weren't that great for it, and also Guy Ritchie hadn't had the best run as of late. He was in a little bit of a slump, and
he was M. Night Shyamalan.
I actually dug the first trailer. Maybe it was a teaser trailer. I don't know, but I don't know.
Right on. Well, and paired with the fact that that it was opening in January, which is kind of a dumping ground for movies. Yeah. So that was like, oh, this is probably not very good.
Usually January is, like you're saying, it's the death knell for a lot of movies. It's straight to video for a lot of them, and That's and the fact that we know that because we pay attention to stuff like that, not because we're industry insiders or anything, but the fact that we know that
We are.
yeah, exactly. Not how. It has that stigma to any movie that's released in January. So, but this movie exceeded expectations because of those few things.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an all right movie. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm glad I watched it. Put it that way,
Yeah.
And the what's the guy's name from the Succession? I've never seen that show. So Jeremy Strong.
Jeremy Strong, yeah.
So that guy.
You need to watch before you continue. You need to watch that show. It's awesome.
Okay,
I would concur. It is good.
He was my least favorite part of this movie. I didn't like him at all. And
Really?
I don't think I was supposed to like him.
He's kind of playing a
slimy
caricature too. I think his character is probably the most unbelievable character. He's just like very animated.
It's like
kind of
it's
like
quirky.
Not a real person.
I didn't like him at all. I know he's supposed to be a slimy character and things like that, but just some of the mannerisms and things of that nature that he had, I just didn't care for. But the person that jumped off screen was Colin Farrell, of course, and at points of this movie, it felt like if Wes Anderson had made an action movie, kind of, because everybody had their cutesy clothes on and stuff like, every group had their uniform.
It's a dapper
on.
movie.
Yeah. But so Wes Anderson's very good on having if you're in this clique, then you're all going to look the same. You're going to know you're part of that group.
Sweatsuits or suits.
Yeah, those plaid sweatsuits and things of that nature. But it was a very dapper movie. It kind of felt like, whenever you watch a James Bond movie or something, you're like, man, that's a sharp suit, man. Most guys, I'll say, want to be James Bond at some point while you're watching a movie. That's kind of why you watch it. Like, man, I'd like to be an international spy.
There's something cool to that, like calm elegance,
Yeah,
these guys are
Charlie,
badass.
Quiet
Charlie
confidence, right, Ryan?
Right, Brandon. Right.
Charlie Hunnam, he was wearing a sweater with a tie and stuff for the majority of while he was in his house, and he was being grilled or being told everything, and and I was just like, man, this is some nice clothing. This is nice. It's nice to see that whoever was in charge of the costumes and stuff like that, it was just really well put together, I thought. And I thought that Rosalind...
You should put that on the poster. Man, this is some nice clothing. Al Moses, CiNEMACHiNE.
I think so. I think you should.
Crickets. All right.
I think you should do that.
Pretty good joke, I thought.
But I thought Michelle Dockery, who played Rosalind, Matthew McConaughey's wife, yet another tall woman, it looked like.
So she was one of the characters that gave me the Bond movie feeling, and it's because she was in a Bond movie.
Oh, was she? I don't remember.
Yeah, she was in Quantum.
Okay.
She was one of the...
I don't know if I saw that
Bond
one or
girls in
not.
there. But that's what I recognized her from.
It took me a while to get into her character, because I thought the shop that she ran, the automotive shop that she ran, body shop, was a little silly. It was like trying to be too stylistic, had all the it was almost like everybody was supposed to be a pinup girl or something like that working in there, and it has nothing to do with women or men or whatever, but it was just kind of silly. Nobody was dirty in an automotive shop, everybody was pristine, clean, and they were working on these fancy cars and whatnot, and so anyway, it was just a little too clean in there for me to believe that, but in the same breath, that's just a nitpick. So, but I liked her in the end of the movie more and more, especially at the very end when she comes in and Matthew McConaughey sitting on the couch, and she, they say that they got Hugh Grant, and she's like, all right, like their plan had worked and everything, so they're gonna do husband-wife stuff right there, and she closes the door, but
yeah,
you're like,
I was like, oh gosh.
I gotta issue a retraction. It's not the same actress in Quantum. It's
Okay.
Gemma
fake
Arterton.
news.
She looks
Fake
very
news.
similar though. If you look
Okay.
her up. Anyways, as you were.
Yeah. The funniest part of this movie, though, and that's one thing I like about Guy Ritchie movies, is that they have good comedy in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the funniest part of this movie for me was when when they went into the teenagers, the heroin addicts,
Sure.
and
That whole scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Charlie Hunnam, he carried this movie at times for me. He was just such a imposing presence at certain times.
Well, that the bunny guy, I can't say his real name. Chidi Ahufo. He was one of the
Oh yeah, the his fighters.
Yeah. He he was very intimidating. He was just very imposing figure. Like he was very tall and just big, and he's the one that your Jeremy Strong had to cut the pound of flesh off of him and things of that nature. So, he was mostly silent during the movie. I think he might have said one or two words. But the funny thing about him is when they got the daughter and were taking her home, and they had just chased those kids for their phones or whatever.
Yeah.
And they've done all this action, and they open the door and they get the guy to flip over the bike, which all of that was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there and they're all out of breath, and they've done all this fighting and everything. They're really tough guys. And then the girl goes, "Can I go home now?" He goes, and he just big smile. Goes,
yeah. Sorry about that.
He's like, he said something like straight away, or So anyway, I found him to be entertaining, and he was for the most part, he was a background character. But
I was actually thinking about the one of Colin Farrell's fighters when you mentioned the imposing.
Oh
dude,
yeah.
Who I thought was, they were just kind of C-level characters, but they were all awesome. I thought.
I liked how when we first met Colin Farrell in the movie, he was in that deli or whatever it was, a restaurant. He was ordering food, and they came up and they were trying to fight him and stuff, and didn't know who he was. And he's like, kids fight with their bodies and their energy and blah blah blah, and adults fight with their mind. And they were like, "You're the coach? Oh my god!" And he had a reputation.
Right.
So I liked how they let us know that he had a reputation. And Brandon, if you had a hard time understanding the British, you definitely have a hard time understanding Colin Farrell. So
Correct.
Yeah.
The scene where they pull, I guess the character's name is Huck, out of the the trunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so great.
The Asian guy. Yeah. Dry Eyes, sidekick or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't his name Dry Eye?
Yep.
So Dry Eye, I wanted him to be dead early on in the movie. I was like, this guy's a jerk. You knew his comeuppance was coming. They did a great job of
demonizing him. He was just super cocky and
Yeah.
The scene where he
I did like. Go ahead.
The scene where he shot the. They're explaining at the end where he shot the older Asian.
Oh
dude.
yeah.
I can't remember what his name is.
The uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just this guy's way in over his head.
Lord George.
Right.
Yeah, I liked how they, like you were talking about, they showed some embellishments on the story,
Right.
because it was, so the whole movie is under the guise that Hugh Grant is, his character's writing a screenplay.
Yep.
And
Love that hat tip, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. hat tip at the end too, with the poster in the background. That was cool.
Yeah, they were, and so anyway, he was supposed to be writing what we're seeing in the movie, so to speak, and anyway, he's pretty much kind of instigating everything. He's over here trying to get money from this guy, over here trying to get money. While he's telling the story to Charlie Hunnam, he is telling him in that when we first see Dry Eye come in and have the meeting with Matthew McConaughey, he tells the story of how that meeting ended, and he's like, "This is a gun," and he shoots him, in the nether regions, and then shoots the other guy, and it's all like, Billy the Kid type stuff and whatnot, and he's like, maybe that didn't happen that way, because Hunnam's like,
sure,
you don't know him like I do.
Right.
What makes you think it ended that way or whatever?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I liked how they went back and told that story the way it really happened, and I think that the second way was actually more controlling, like more of a boss man, and it kind of reminded me of the movie Green Room, which if you haven't seen that movie, please go watch Green Room. Let me know what you think about it. But Patrick Stewart, he's in that movie, and everybody wants him to be this yelling, like, crazy person, like, because he's the leader of these really bad people, but he's very calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah,
and
that's how I would describe Matthew McConaughey's character in this movie.
Yeah,
like in a menacing way almost.
He's the lion.
Yeah, well, they say the quietest person is the one you should fear the most. So
yeah, so that is not proven here. No, I think that's when I locked on, and I was like, oh, okay, I can believe this as a character for right now.
Yeah,
that's when I first got in there. But
so let me ask you guys this: as the movie wraps up, when he's presenting his screenplay essentially to
at Miramax,
it ends with them not knowing whether Matthew McConaughey's character is alive, and he pitches the that's what the sequel's for. Like, do you think that's something that they could pursue?
Wanted a sequel. They wanted a sequel so bad. I don't think it.
I mean, it's like it was profitable.
It was profitable.
I don't know how much more you could have expected.
I mean, it had 115 million box office out of a $22 million budget, and then we know you bought it, so they made another $7. So
you ought to know you bought it.
Thanks, Brandon.
I think they definitely want to make a sequel. And maybe there were plans. Maybe COVID killed that for a while.
Yeah, well, I could see them. I could see them doing like a Netflix, original sequel type thing for it. I wouldn't imagine. I couldn't see it go into theaters. But I could definitely see it for a home video thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because home video is not really a bad word anymore,
It's certainly, certainly going that way.
Unfortunately. So one thing I liked about this movie was the soundtrack. And they had like a children's choir singing Wu-Tang at one point, and that was during the chase scene and whatnot. And I really enjoyed that. As a matter of fact, that was one of the first things I did after I got out of the movie. I downloaded that song.
They did a great job. Kind of what you were talking about earlier with the wardrobe, differentiating, clicks or however you want to describe them. They did a great job with the music too.
Did you like the dance numbers with the toddler YouTube, whatever the little boy
the
gang
ABC
or whatever
song?
Oh.
ABC song? Yeah.
No, was it? Is that what it was? the coaches. If Colin Farrell's like little gang of kids or whatever.
Yeah,
the young,
make the YouTube videos.
the
they
rap
had like
video.
a music video, and I think they played the full thing at the end of the movie over the credits.
So, I'm gonna say this: I've listened to British rap over time, and it is not
Can you
menacing.
understand it?
It is not menacing at all. Like there's nothing hard about it. It's just I don't know. It's hard to take like, I'm a gangsta and all that stuff from like such a proper way of speaking and stuff. So some of it's fun to listen to, but I don't find it to be entertaining music personally. So
We should use Al saying "I'm a gangsta" on our next little clip that we put out on social.
That's right.
be like Chappie.
We gotta make a T-shirt of that too.
The T-shirt ideas are endless right now.
So, yeah. But anyway, I really like the music. I listened to quite a few other songs on the soundtrack, and quite a few of them landed. Not all of them, but some of them, because they choose the best part for the movie. So you get that hook, and the rest of the song just doesn't stand up. But yeah, I would suggest people go out and I subscribe to Spotify, so.
What'd you guys think
just got
of how they dealt with the guy from was it like the newspaper or whatever? How they kind of placated him and framed him with the pig.
It's about that whole scene. Colin Farrell handled that scene like a champ too.
yeah. That's the funny thing is Colin Farrell was supposed to be this like pretty much like a boys club kind of like mentor, and he ended up being the most
at the
brutal
end,
person. In
one
the
of
movie.
my favorite parts of the movie, it's so little, is at the end when the Russian assassins are coming to kill Raymond and I guess Fletcher at that time, and Colin Farrell offs the two guys, and Raymond comes around the corner and he just holds up.
Yeah,
that's 4 times.
Yeah, that was funny.
He just walks
that was
off.
funny. And that's the thing I like about Colin Farrell is like, at one point Colin Farrell was supposed to be the next big leading man in Hollywood. He's a handsome guy. Huh?
And then Daredevil happened.
Bullseye.
What's
quite
your
a
favorite quote from that?
More pain. I can't even say it.
And if you remember,
Place.
he was quite the bad boy, so to speak. That was his persona and everything, and he really pushed himself away from all of that and carved out quite the career for himself. And I like him, and I honestly can't think of much I've seen him in that I didn't like him in. I didn't see Daredevil, so I can't say that.
You like Fantastic Beasts?
I didn't see that either. Oh no, I did see the first one.
He was actually good in that. I mean,
the Cursed movie.
I've forgotten most of that movie, so I can't say. I'm sure I did. I just can't remember. But I really liked him in Killing of a Sacred Deer. Yes, I said it. I liked him in that movie.
I feel like you bring that up every episode.
I really want to evangelize that movie. It's really good.
Easter
Killing
egg
of a
every
Sacred
week?
Deer and Green Room. Hal's just gonna bring them up every ep.
Yeah, I like him. But anyway, he's and The Lobster. He's really good in The Lobster. He's comedic, and he's got a lot of drama in there. He's like a sad sack in that movie, but it's like really good delivery. Same director as Killing of a Sacred Deer.
I'm excited to see him in the Batman too, with the being unrecognizable.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Yeah, it's gonna be strange. So, but no, I think he's one of those actors like that. I think he's underrated, but I'm glad he's underrated because I'm glad he's a character actor now.
He strikes me as the type who has kind of carved an area out where he can pursue what he wants to pursue, and people want him involved in projects because he's got the chops for it, but for anything. But
right, wasn't he in Phone Booth? Wasn't he in that movie?
Yeah.
Oh man,
That was like
that's a
still during like
His leading
his
man.
Yeah, when they tried to like.
I
Yeah.
loved
Put him in that position.
Minority Report. He's great in that too.
Let's keep on. What else was he good in, guys? Season 2 of True Detective.
Didn't see it.
That's-
But no,
that's okay.
I think Guy Ritchie did well with this movie, and I hope there
Wasn't
are
Guy
rumors.
Ritchie he was like the executive at Miramax, wasn't he?
Oh really?
I saw a behind the scenes thing where he was, and I can't remember because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but pretty sure he was. Maybe he's not shown, but he was sitting at the executive desk of that scene.
I think they
there-
show him. So if that's him, that's pretty cool.
They had some pretty good makeup on him. Same guy that did Penguin, probably. 'Cause it didn't look anything like him.
Well, maybe it was just a behind the scenes shot where he's just sitting in that chair. Maybe I'm mistaking it, but he was in the photo I saw, but maybe he wasn't in the movie.
Fake news.
We're just gonna have to get a soundboard,
Yeah.
fake news
So-
soundboard.
Well, what's funny is that this week we've put out 2 episodes, and this will be the second of the 2, and we reviewed Tenet and The Gentleman were only 3 points apart in Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
So yeah, so Tenet was a 78, and Gentleman was a 75, and they were only 1/10 of a point differentiation on IMDb. So 7.9, whereas Tenet was 8. But the viewer score, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes was 4% different. So they're
Higher
pretty
or lower?
close.
For a gentleman.
For the Gentleman, it was higher for the Gentleman at the time of our
Sure,
recording.
yeah.
Put it that way,
Yeah.
because that can all change, being that people are starting to see Tenet now.
Yeah.
So, so while we're talking about this, I just wanted to bring this up: is that do you guys trust Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah, I don't either.
I do not trust Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I think
but I
that-
recognize the power of Rotten Tomatoes.
I think
Yeah.
that the problem with Rotten Tomatoes is people have a misconception as to what it actually means.
Right.
Um,
There's
they think it's a letter grade.
inconsistencies in their rating system.
Yeah.
A 3 a 2.5 out of 4. I guess they do it out of 4, right?
5, I think.
Or 5.
I think
Maybe
it's out of 5.
3 out of 5 can be fresh or it can be rotten. Just kind of depends on whatever way the wind's blowing. Whatever studio
Yeah.
probably gave them
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah, and some of the movies that get like 100% on there are just, are you out of your mind?
And Brandon,
Like,
maybe you can explain just kind of how their system works, because I'm sure a lot of people aren't familiar with.
Well, it's just a pass or fail scale as far as how it kind of. So basically, you've got. I mean the people that are approved reviewers for Rotten Tomatoes, they put in their score and their own internal scores, on their websites. Some of them graded on like a 10-point scale or a 5-point scale, whatever, and they just kind of average it out for the Rotten Tomatoes. But basically, it's either a pass or a fail, so it's rotten or it's fresh. And there's really no middle ground in that. So you can say a lot of negative things, but if you're like, well, but it's still, it's fresh. Or you could say, a lot of positive things.
And the
ends up being
scores
rotten.
themselves that you see are not. It's if a rotten or a movie's ranked 75%, people are not saying that it's 75% good.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
they're saying
75% of critics would recommend it,
that, right.
or not recommend it. It's like it's one or the other. It's not like this is a
You're not
C
ranking
or a B
you're
or
not
an A.
ranking the movie. You're not seeing a scale rank of a movie.
yeah. Well, so I did, while you guys were talking about that, I went ahead and checked Tenet again to see if it had risen or
Mhm.
fallen, and it's already gone up 5%. So it is above
Nice.
Fake news
the Gentleman.
from earlier.
But no, it's up to 89, whereas Gentleman is up to 84 audience score. So I don't think that you should, like Brandon and Ryan were saying, I don't think you should really give any kind of
Nah. I mean,
don't
it's
make your
the
own.
problem
judgment
is-
on movies.
Yeah, make your own decision.
It's
Or listen
already
to
like-
CiNEMAChine, let us make your decision.
right. The unfortunate thing is it is the like go-to grade, so to speak, even though it's not a grade.
It has
Right.
a huge
So-
amount of influence on how movies
Studios-
perform because
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
say
I-
Metacritic is a better metric to go by as far as because it is an actual average of.
Do you want to know those
reviews.
scores?
No.
So the Metacritic for Gentlemen is 51%, whereas Tenet is 69%. So Tenet's really not getting the greatest reviews across the board, and
On the Christopher Nolan scale, it's probably on the lower end
Yeah.
so far.
Anyway, we don't want to get too far in the weeds, but I
think it's
an
interesting. I think it's also
Yeah.
like for people that like movies, like it's just not a good source to base your decisions of whether to see something off of.
Can you imagine the days of, like, I mean, we're all old enough to remember the days to where you couldn't go online to figure out when a movie was playing. You had to look in the newspaper or
Yeah.
call the theater and listen.
The good old days.
Yeah, I love those days.
Movie phone.
I mean,
This is
Al,
movie
is
phone.
BVS really a 27%? I mean,
No, it's not that high. I can only imagine like how many people just totally went with Siskel and Ebert because they were the jam back in the day of or Ebert and Roper after Siskel died, but they did the thumbs up or whatever. So
just laughing at you.
so anyway, I just think it's funny. Like, well, honey, they gave it 2 thumbs up, so I mean, we got to go see it.
You could have said anything there, and I would have believed you. Like a Seinfeld episode where George goes to get his car.
Yeah.
Hey, you need a new Johnson rod.
Or whenever Kramer's phone number is one number off from movie phone.
Movie phone.
Yeah. So he just starts giving out times to the movies. So anyway, well, guys, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up for the gentleman?
I don't think so. Al, ask me if I'm gonna buy it. Just ask me.
All right, Brandon, are you going to buy this movie? Would you buy, sell, stay, watch,
Stream,
go to a friend's house, burn it?
steal a password.
Yeah, I would buy it. I think it's one that kind of warrants repeat viewings, and it's another one that once they kind of lay everything out towards the end, you go back and watch it, you can kind of see things that were the groundwork that was laid, and being that it has those comedic elements, also it helps in that rewatch category for me.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd say buy it if you're into that. If you're into this type of movie, then definitely buy it. But at least watch it, if so you can listen to our review. Otherwise, why are we here, guys?
You can just put all the icons down on Brandon's video. Buy it, watch it.
Buy it, watch it, and
Stream
then skip it.
So we asked a similar question in the Tenet episode. We'll ask one here. If y'all want us to do a rundown of Guy Ritchie movies, we'll be glad to do that. Just let us know if you're interested in something like that. Ryan?
Buy it. I already bought
it.
And I will confirm what Brandon said. Super high rewatchability. The humor elements are great. And it's well put together. It's fun.
Okay. I say watch it. I say stream it. If I'm going to buy it, I'm going to need it to be on a little bit of a discount. I'm not going to buy it full price.
I was going to say you have to wait for it to come out on Criterion.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I would buy this, $10
VHS.
and under. Yeah. VHS. No, I don't like VHS. I would buy this
Surprising.
$10.
It's a $5 box movie for Al.
Somebody gave it to me as a gift. I'd be all right with it. No, it's fun watch. I watched it for a second time, so could review it with you guys, and and so I had a good time watching it a second time. I don't know that I would need to watch it 5 and 6 times like some of the other movies, but yeah, I would say do that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it falls into like the classic category where you're just going to rewatch this for years and years to come, but it's a good one to pop on every once in a while.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, it's one that, you know, one of the main reasons that it's good to buy is because some movies aren't available for streaming. You know, it's kind of a crapshoot what's going to be streaming. But also, sometimes you're just hanging out with folks and somebody says, "Man, I want to watch a good Guy Ritchie movie," and then you're like, "Oh, you should see The Gentleman." And
that happened to me last week. You know,
yeah. And then you got to go through that whole thing of, we got to go to stinking Redbox, which I was going to go rent it on Redbox, and they didn't have it. So luckily, I borrowed Ryan's. So anyway, so yeah. That's our review of The Gentleman, and now you guys get to tell us what we have to watch next week. So, Brandon, I'll go with you first. What is your choice for them to vote on?
Drum roll.
My choice is going to be Invisible Man by Lee Whannell. I just recently got to watch it for the first time.
Spoiler, Ryan bought it.
Ryan did buy it, but it is going to be on HBO Max pretty soon, I believe. So it will be widely available on that platform. But yeah, super dug it. Ryan's already talked about it briefly on a previous pod, but yeah,
it'd be a fun one to talk about.
It's a good one. Enjoyed it.
I'd be interested to see what y'all think.
Yeah, Ryan, what's your choice for everyone to vote on?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with a Ben Affleck movie, The Way Back. It's sorry, Brandon, it's a sports movie.
I love myself some Ben Affleck though. It is known.
That's what you can overcome the sports thing with if Ben Affleck is involved.
Yep. I'll just pretend he's Bruce Wayne.
That's right.
Coaching a basketball team.
It's
drinking some beers.
It's a
Bruce Wayne just lost everything to alcohol.
Yeah. I love a good Elseworlds story, Ryan.
Yeah, there you go. Multiverse in full effect.
All right. Save it for Capecast. Morons.
Wish we could just slide Al off.
Yeah.
Welcome to Capecast.
All right, now let's get to it. It's a good classic inspiring sports story. It's going to be on, or I think it is on HBO Max now.
Yeah, it is.
Now.
Yep.
But it's a cool one.
It's also on Ryan's Movies Anywhere. If you just want to get his login, you can watch it anytime.
Comment down below if you want my login.
I don't think Movies Anywhere is going to like you doing that. Yeah, so I'm going to choose Peanut Butter Falcon. This is
tasty. Sounds good.
This is a really good movie. I remember when this was first coming out, Brandon sent me a text like, "All right, Al, here you go." Like, it's just the title alone. Yeah. So anyway, this is
I do
really
want to see
movie.
it. I'm not. I just said that because it's a kind of a title that of all the movies that you watch, it's like one of those titles.
This is the Shia LaBeouf flick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
who's the girl in it? I can't remember.
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Okay. Is that her name? Dakota. I know it's Dakota. It's.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson's daughter.
Cool.
So the movie's really good, and
it's on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
I want to say.
Yeah, and it's a really good movie. Really good, like road movie, so to speak. They're traveling. They're not always on the road, but it is about a special needs adult that is living in a home, and he wants to be a wrestler. And he watches this video every single day, and he wants to be a wrestler, and he breaks out of the home.
Spoiler alert!
No, that's the beginning of the movie. I will not spoil. And the journey starts from there. Dakota Johnson is searching for him, and Shia LaBeouf is somewhere in between. So it's a really good movie, and I really think that more and more people need to watch that movie because it's going to be one of those movies, once Shia LaBeouf finally is noticed as a good actor, like a household name kind of thing. Like, we all know him because we like movies and such, and I think people know him because of his weird stuff he does online or he did online back in the day. But I think it's one of those movies you're going to look back on and say, man, he was really good in that, you know.
Yeah, I think he's well known just from Transformers, but to see him with the acting chops that he's actually got.
Yeah,
he's more of his recent films.
Reinvented himself for sure. Yeah. So kind of like Colin Farrell, like we were talking about. So yeah, that's that. So Ryan, do you want to tell them where they can find us to vote?
Yeah. So easiest place, if you're watching on YouTube, comment section down below. Just let us know your choice. And then on Instagram is another popular place to vote. I'll be putting a post up there when this episode goes up, and just let us know what you pick at CiNEMACHiNE.
There you go, guys. So this week being that we put out 2 episodes, we didn't want to overwhelm everybody, so we put out 2 just review episodes, but we will be getting back to our regular format next week. And but we want to thank everybody for tuning in, of course. Make sure you like and subscribe and share with your friends. Tell them all about us. We are here to talk about movies, so please comment and just tell us everything that you want us to talk about. And if there are movies that we don't mention on here, please throw them down in the comments or on social, because we're interested in learning about new movies too. So
Sure.
Just hit us up. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Brandon. It was fun to hang out with you guys. And we'll see you all on the next CiNEMACHiNE.
Meow.